Hey guys, it's GirlGotGame, and welcome back to The Letter, where we are going to be doing Becca's solo survival run. So let's get this started. Back-to-back cats. Madness. So anyway, same dealio as last time. I'm going to be skipping through everything as much as possible.
Isabella?
Oh.
Are you there?
There we go. I'm like, why are you not working? As I was saying, I'm going to skip through things. And then...
Hey! I eat other things too.
When Bella's not shouting in my ear, I will bring you in when something changes. Alrighty? Alrighty. I'll see you in a second. Alright, guys. Just finishing up Becca's chapter. So I've been trying to get her affection up with both Ashton and Luke. See if we can make some endings happen. And right as I ran out the door, the text stopped. If Isabella were watching us right now, I'm sure she'd feel the same. She'd be rooting for us even with something. That she's got something that can get them out of this mess, potentially. Wherever this will lead us to is a victory on its own. Now all that's left is to find the others, the rest of us trapped in this bloody nightmare. Okay, might be able to skip again. Yes, and that's the end of Becca's route. Or not route, but chapter, I should say. Might as well keep you guys around, because this is not going to take too long before we get to a divergence. I'm trying to decide with this one. I'm gonna actually make a save here. Because I want Rebecca's affection for Luke to be higher than Ash, because Ash is going to get impaled in not too long of a time. Let me look at this. He's kind of winning out, and if I pick a positive option, it's going to be maxed out. I don't know if that'll affect things, but... let's see. Stretch the truth. Because I want Becca to comfort Ash right at the end of his life. Right? But I do want that Luke-Becca variant ending. So, got a bit of a conundrum as far as that's concerned. So we'll see if all my micromanaging is successful in the end. Maybe not. But maybe so. I mean, I'm trying. I'm trying my darndest. Okay, so he's gonna get called to the precinct. Zach's in trouble. Run into Luke. Okay. So, let's just clear up some stuff so it's out of the way. Oh, there's still stuff here. Okay. And clear. Gonna call him out again.
Innocent!
Sup, we're back. Okay. But before I can make it back to my car, my phone rings. A quick glance at the caller ID shows Rebecca's name blinking on the screen. And this time with not a horrible phone call. Without wasting any time, I answer the call. However, the tone she assumes isn't what I'm hoping to hear.
Ashton, are you there?
Ragged, a bit out of breath, there's a tinge of urgency in it. Listening to her from my side of the line makes it seem like she has just run a marathon prior to this call.
Becca, where?
I got your message. What happened?
Nothing. Well, Zach's in a bit of a tight spot right now.
Define tight spot in this context, Ash.
I'll tell you about it later. There's nothing we can do about it now. Where are you, by the way?
Home, I had to make a quick visit to the library. Listen, Ash, that thing Isabella told us about. There's something you guys need to...
Man, your signal came in really clearly there, Becca.
Please tell me you didn't... Whatever. Save it for later. I'll meet you there. This is related to that.
I don't like the sound of that, Ash. But, all right. And please, hurry.
Gotcha.
Give me a few minutes.
She mumbles a goodbye, then hangs up. Becca's the last person I need to account for, yet that call left something strained in the air. Thankfully, I don't have to linger in it for too long. The drive back to Salem Well only takes a matter of minutes. I find her pacing in front of Isabella's room, hands clasped tightly in front of her as she treads the small space offered by the hallway. The second she looks up, apologies spill out of her mouth first.
I'm sorry, Ash. I was in a hurry.
It doesn't matter. What's important is you're here.
Not burnt to a crisp or brutally murdered somewhere. Ha ha! Yeah! Whole. Alive. Although she seems a bit shaken, it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. At least now I can relax, ease the pressure off my shoulders, if only by some.
Anyway, let's head inside. We shouldn't be talking about this out here. You have a copy of her key, right?
We're borrowing Isabella's flat? What is this really about?
Yes, you're sealing it.
She has some files in there, also related.
She merely nods in understanding.
I hope you know what you're doing.
However, the minute she moves to fish out the key, she winces. A small reaction, but sets a precedence for a careful observation nevertheless. A closer look at her reveals a much more disheveled appearance than usual. Hair in a bit of a mess, probably flattened in a hurry. The back of her dress also shows stains of dirt in places it rarely gets into. She's also leaning more on using her left arm. She's right-handed. Perhaps the most telling is the slight limp she has when she leads me into the room. It all sprouts a hatful of questions. What exactly happened and how she ended up in that state? Pretty sure a simple trip to the library won't do that. But she never gives me a chance to bring it up. The second we're seated in the tiny living room, she gets straight to the point and asks about Zach. Typical Rebecca.
All right, no more suspense. What happened to Zachary?
The question you should be asking is what will happen to Zachary.
And I don't want you to mince words. Tell everything as it is.
He's been detained. The police arrested him this morning.
Arrested? Why?
She raises her eyebrow in question, and I quickly fill her in on what happened. From the moment I've gotten the news down to the very person at the root of this trouble. She falters the second I drop Scumbag's name, disbelief all over her features.
Are you sure it's him? This must be a mistake.
I think your affection meter's giving you away.
Yup, quite sure it's the bastard we saw at the precinct, in all his pompous glory.
What was Zachary even doing in the mansion? Murder? Of Hannah? Are you kidding me? I know Zachary can look a bit intimidating at first glance, but he's not the kind of person who will do those things.
That's exactly what I told the geezers at the precinct, but they won't listen. Apparently they caught him in the act.
The geezers.
Of course they won't. They're up against Wright's smug face, for fuck's sake. He's the one who has the money.
I'll talk to him.
Immediately, every thought in my head stops and I stare at her. She can't be serious.
You want to talk to Smugface, to Scumbag?
Smugbag?
Yes, I'm sure he'll see reason.
And she's gone. She wastes no time. Ignoring her limp, she gathers her things and stands up, ready to leave. I grab for her arm before she can walk past, carefully to avoid hurting her in case there really is an injury. Seems like it at first glance, but you can't be sure until after a careful examination has been made. I suspect some bruising, at least. Although minor internal fractures aren't out of the equation, they have a nasty way of staying hidden. But that possible injury is the least of my problems right now. Not when she's likely planning a march into the Ermengarde mansion just to talk to the guy. And I have a slew of opinions about that plan. Ooh, man, so many good options here. What should I do? I mean, yelling is just gonna make her double down. What do I want to do affection-wise here? What's... you know, we can afford to lose a little bit more. And then before the end, kind of raise it a bit again. Let's do this one.
Do you really think you'll listen to reason?
Okay.
We won't know until we try, will we?
I just don't see why she thinks this is a good idea. She was at the party. She saw how the man acted when put on a damn spotlight that shines on everything negative about him.
Becca, believe me. He's not the kind of person who will. The only thing he'll listen to is the sound of his own voice.
I've spoken to the guy, Ash. He can be difficult, but he's not as unreasonable as you think. Did it ever occur to you that maybe, just maybe, this might be some sort of misunderstanding?
He just filed a case against Zach this morning.
Well, I'll make him take it back.
It's not as simple as you think. That man believes what he's doing is right.
What do you want me to do then? Just stand around and wait for some miracle that'll get Zach out of that cell?
No, I want you to leave it to me and let me handle this.
You're not the only one who can do things here, Ash. Quit playing the damn hero, you're not. You should be thankful someone's even trying to help. This is like that bloody letter again. You kept ignoring people's warnings, and now that we're probably in deep shite, you're taking it all on yourself.
Oof.
Why can't you be glad that people are trying to help you out?
How? By running blindly into things? All I want is for you to be careful.
I know what I'm getting into, Ashton.
That arm injury and the limp tell a completely different story. Please tell me you did not just do something dangerous today.
It was just a trip to the library. Besides, she caught me off guard. What, did you think I went looking for her with a book in hand? I'm not stupid, Ash. And I'm not just going to stand around while my friend's in jail. I won't let that bloody ghost do whatever she wants to us either. If you can't accept that, feel free to stay the way you are.
She pauses, anger briefly subsiding. Then, quietly,
Just remember that she has already taken Isabella from us. You're lucky someone's still here.
oof.
You're the one who kept brushing all of this cursed thing off. In fact, you're the one who dismissed Isabella first.
Oof. The last one feels like a slap in the face, really. Rebecca has a knack for being brutally honest with her opinions. We've often clashed at times, yet I still respect her for it. Her opinion is as valuable as every other person's I've let into my life, and this time she's right. I've made a huge mistake. But damn it, I'm trying!
And you didn't? Back at the movie house, you were agreeing with me.
Besides, curse or not, you still should have ran. That woman's not something you can hit with a book.
Believe me, Ashton, I did. Then a bloody cart came out of nowhere. Do you have any idea how painful being hit with one is? But you know what? If it weren't for a damn book, you wouldn't be yelling at me right now. I would be dead.
And on that note, let's read about the fight we just had. Angry faces. To Ashton's relief, Rebecca later called back. He found her at Salem Well looking worse for wear, but upon learning of Zachary's situation, she decided to confront Luke Wright, an idea Ashton vehemently opposed. Fortunately, before it brewed into a fight, Ashton had the sense to drop the topic. Before it brewed into a fight? I don't know about that. A sobering silence descends in the room. Instantly, both our anger have been tempered as the gravity of that one word hits us. Dead. How many more close calls do we have to go through? How many deaths do we have to witness? How long can we keep this up? We're bound to break at one point. No normal human being with a sane mind can last like this, losing people important to them, one by one, right in front of them. I've already lost Isabella. Although Zach's not in a better situation, he's alive. I'm not losing him and Rebecca, too.
Let's leave these issues for now. There are some things, a lot of things, you need to know.
Fine then. But if this is going to be long, let me just get something for this bruise.
That marks the end of it. At least for the time being. And as soon as Rebecca returns, we get straight down to business. Surprisingly easy, considering the rigid air in the room. Although there's some tense fumbling for words at first, the whole conversation gains steam once what happened last night at BRC has been put on the table. All at once, everything we've brushed off, carelessly ignored, and rudely dismissed have been laid out for close scrutiny. My own encounters with the woman, Rebecca's close brushes with death every time she appears. The dread, the fear, the terror she brings out even in the bravest of us. Everything. Because no matter how bleak this all seems, there must still be a way out of this. There has to be. Logic be damned. Or at least that's what I would like to believe. Yet even as the cold morning light shifts to the warm hues of late afternoon and eventually night, none of this still makes a fucking damn sense. Darkness has fallen, but we're still nowhere near figuring things out. If anything, we're more at a loss than we've ever been before we even started this. The next thing I know, frustration rears its ugly head, and the sheets of paper I've been holding smacks the table harder than I've intended. The sound of it echoes loudly in the small room, and we simply fall silent. Along with it is a release of another long-held breath. Perhaps the 100th since this morning.
We aren't getting anywhere at this rate.
If you aren't getting anywhere, maybe you should move on to some other stuff first. Leave it for now. But what are we even supposed to be looking at here?
A pattern, something that might hint a way out of this. The guys from BRC have probably also read that dumb paper. They've been working on the mansion before the open house, but Isabella found it during.
Maybe there's something more to this.
What do you mean?
Becca makes a vague gesture at the papers she's brought, then crosses her arm and leans back on her seat to glare at it. The way she's staring at it, you'll think she wants to set the entire stack on fire.
Apparently, there was some stuff that people haven't been telling us.
You mean our own teachers have been lying to us all this time?
Hey, now don't blame us. Blame the bloody books they wrote.
Sighing, I reach for one of the papers Rebecca has brought with her and carefully inspects the words printed on the page. A copy of an old newsprint from even before the city has been founded. Just a typical newsprint, but my eyes do linger at the illustration of the noblewoman's servant.
Any ideas why they're keeping this in the restricted section?
Rebecca merely shrugs at my inquiry, but her own annoyance seeps through her answer.
How should I know? I wasn't even aware we have archives that go as far back as this. This is before the city was even founded. As a matter of fact, if it weren't for Andrew's help, I wouldn't have gotten my hands on any of it. Maybe they didn't think it would be important to talk about it. After all, this is more Anselm's than ours.
That or some old bugger's hiding something.
Why else would these tell a completely different story? Revising what's written seems a useless endeavor on its own when you have nothing to gain from it. Thanks to those, we're also missing a lot of things here. There's still a gap. A huge one. Even with the information we currently have right now, it still feels like there's something we're overlooking. All we have to go with is the mansion, the letter, and all the stuff selfish people have been keeping from the public. But what else? At present, everything seems to point to where this all started. The Ermengarde mansion. Will bringing the letter back there fix everything? Fuck. How do I? The mansion's a private property now, can't just waltz in there. I'd rather die before I even think of begging Wright to let me in and investigate the place. After what he did to Zach? Not gonna happen. Over my dead body. One thing's very clear after these last 2 days, however. We're not safe anywhere, and I have to act fast if I want to keep my friends alive. We can't keep running away. Sooner or later she'll get us like she did with Isabella. And damn it, I hope Zach's okay where they're keeping him. There are guards stationed at the holding cells 24/7, but you can't be sure. This is a ghost we're up against. Before anything happens, I have to put an end to this. Sighing, I stand up and stretch out the kinks in my back after several hours of sitting. We've been at this for too long. A break is needed, time to let everything to sink in or else we'll all burn out. I know I will, and it's another thing I cannot let happen when they're all counting on me like this. Albeit unspoken, it's in Rebecca's eyes when she looks up at me, waiting.
We've been at this for hours. We should take a break for a few...
The rest of it never makes it out of my mouth as something heavy and grating sounds from the far end of the room. A harsh booming noise rending through the eardrums of everyone in the room. All at once Rebecca is on her feet while I quickly palm for my gun on the table. However, before I can pull it up and remove the safety, the whole racket stops. Stillness descends in the room, and amidst the sudden hush, the two of us exchange anxious glances. So much for a break.
Ashton, that might be...
Gather everything.
No questions asked. She wastes no time getting to work, piling up the documents we've been reading through. But before she can even finish, another noise ups the tension already gripping the place. Suddenly the lights go out, and the wardrobe at the end of the room rattles, as if something inside begs for freedom. Cautiously, eyes glued to it, I take a step forward and I release the lock from my gun. I'm no trigger-happy person. I'm not even sure if this will work on a ghost. But right now, its smooth surface against my palm, with the trigger on my finger, provides the closest thing I have to relief as I approach the closet.
I have everything. We should just...
Worried as she is, she immediately stops at the slight raise of my hand, but the edge is there while she huddles in the space between the door and the room. In case this goes south, whatever I find inside, she has enough time and space to run from that position. In 2 deep breaths, I've crossed the room and stood in front of the closet. Whatever is inside has yet to stop thrashing. Instead, it has now moved to banging at the door, louder and louder the longer I dally. Another shallow breath, a glance at Rebecca, a nod, something creaks. Then, in the next moment, I'm grasping at the handles and swinging the doors wide open to reveal... nothing. Right away, I part the clothes hanging on it, and still none. No ghost. No woman. Not a single trace of whatever, whoever's inside. Confused, I glance back towards Rebecca, only to see her mirroring the same expression on my face. The noise has finally stopped, but I'm quite sure it isn't my imagination. Or maybe it is, and I'm just too strung up that my head's now making things up. Whatever the case is, we need to get out of here, as soon as possible. This only confirms we aren't safe anywhere. Without bothering to close it, I move back, ready to leave, adrenaline now coursing through every vein in my body. In the next second, I'm barking orders and...
We should go, Becca. We need to...
I'm sent sprawling on my back as something cold catches my ankle and yanks. The resulting fall knocks the wind out of me. Pain racks my whole spine and the back of my head as it collides against floor, with force enough to dislodge my own brain from my skull. A moment lasts before stars fade from my vision, and then I sense it. Cold tendrils twisting around my ankles, the smell of vile rot assaulting my nose. Nauseating, sickening, a foul smell draining every feeling in my body. The moment her horrid laughter, still as unpleasant and vicious as the last time I've heard it, reaches my ears, my eyes snap open. Perhaps it's just an experience. Or maybe my mind's still attempting to comprehend this. Regardless, the minute my eyes land on her, the whole of my body freezes, the gun in my hand turns useless as my grip on it slackens. It's in the manner her gaze bores on me, I'll say. The look of utter hatred and malice. I've seen it loads of times. From suspects, mostly murderers who never regretted their actions despite being caught. This is the face of someone you can no longer reason with. And I know, the moment she laughs again and starts dragging me towards her, it's already going to be the...
Ashton! Snap out of it!
So it's still Bella that saves you here. No, I can't die here. Not yet. The haze fades from my mind, and instinct kicks in then and there.
Becca, out! Get out! Get out of here!
With one powerful tug, I yank my foot out of her grip and scramble back to my feet, ignoring the piercing wail she fills the room with. Within the span of a second, I'm gunning for the door, grabbing for Rebecca's arm and leading her out. Hopefully the uninjured one. Into the hallway, down the flight of steps, and right inside my car. I waste no time flooring on the gas pedal the second she closes the door behind her, and in a short while I'm driving us out of Salem Well. I don't even entertain the thought of winding down just yet, even as the last of the woman's painful cries fade into the night. Okay. We might be able to skip a little bit here. I'm kind of expecting a fight to break out here, being a little more natural. Becca's good for making fights seem natural. Let's see. Okay, that's the same. A bad end? What's not a bad end? Ah, the quiet shortly comes to an end. Not necessarily a bad end. The sound of her footsteps reach my ears first, halting my movements. Sure enough, when I glance up, I find her. Rebecca, just as she enters the park grounds, bags of convenience store food in hand. After last night's flight from Salem Well, we've elected to stay the night here, unsure if our own homes will still be safe. Normally, we'd all be adverse to the idea of spending the night outside like this, but panic and distress has tainted that decision. It's not like we've gotten an ounce of sleep anyway. On the off chance one of us did, it only lasted but a second, or it's a fitful one. But looking at her right now, from afar, it's easy to mistake her for someone who's simply out for an early morning stroll. Her steps are careful and slow as she walks, the expression on her face relaxed if not unfazed. Her treads fill the atmosphere with a light air, temporarily easing off the disheartening mood. It's easy to pretend we're not knee-deep in a life-and-death situation the way she acts now. Easy to forget we've lost someone, or one of us is being framed for a crime he likely didn't commit. If anything, it's only her appearance that betrays that mask. Slightly disheveled, bags under her eyes, an exhausted curve in her shoulders, and dragging footsteps. But the closer she gets, the more obvious these signs are to the naked eye. She passes an energy drink my way the moment the distance allows it, and hands me the other bag she's holding before seating herself on a bench nearby. The scent of warm food immediately wafts from the bag when I open it, carried further by a passing breeze. Whatever sweet sauce they drizzled over this pork wannabe, it smells heavenly. Hell, even the sorry-looking vegetables seem appetizing. Despite myself, without even checking exactly what this is, hunger swiftly takes over every rational thought. I dig in without waiting for her to start. Although she appears to be of the same mind too, and soon enough she also starts with his? Hers? No casual talk while we fill our empty stomachs. Exhausted as we both are, food is something we can't forgo. Starvation dulls the thinking, weakens the body. If we are to survive this, we're gonna have to take care of ourselves first. It's one thing Zach will likely remind me of. Isabella would never let me hear the end of it either if she were still here. In a matter of minutes, we're done and dumping the empty cartons on a nearby waste bin. Along with it is the shift in the mood. Back to dismal. Back to the problem at hand. The comfortable atmosphere from minutes ago was nice while it lasted. Admittedly, I've missed these kinds of moments between us. We never had the chance. Always busy on some project or work. The things we've taken for granted, now we're realizing how valuable they are. With one of us no longer here and the other stuck in a jail cell, the world has an awful sense of humor. While the one we've just had is short-lived, it's another thing I want to look forward to if we ever free ourselves from this damn curse. I'd like to believe there's a way. For now, we have to focus back on the present. This. Dead people. The letter. The curse. It's not simple to bring these up, but necessary.
Where do we go from here, Ash?
It's an innocent question at best, but she looks to me as if my face has all the answers in the world. I used to think so, back when I was at the top of my game and I'm still sure of everything. Now there's just uncertainty sullying whatever decision I come up with. At some point, logic has simply stopped working here and we've started grasping at straws. Along with exhaustion, fatigue, and stress, we have enough kindling to get a fire burning. The not-so-pleasant kind of fire. At least from the picture, it doesn't look like Becca's directing her anger at you. She's just kind of yelling off into the ether.
We can't stay here. We'd be sitting ducks if we remain in one place.
All right, so we just keep running like this?
We don't have much of a choice, Becca. Even our own homes aren't safe. Anytime, that woman, that thing might get us. Fuck. A zombie apocalypse would be better than this.
It still doesn't change anything. You just said it. Nowhere's safe. But dying is the last thing I want to do right now, Ash. Not to a stupid chain letter someone was too gullible to pick up and show everyone.
Someone unnamed.
Don't you think it's a bit too late to start laying the blame on someone else? It's not even helping at this point.
Who said anything about blaming anyone? Do you really think I don't blame myself for this as well?
Well, you did emphasize someone twice.
Isabella warned all of us. In the first place, we wouldn't even be having this problem if you'd only...
What do you want to hear from me then? If what happened last night didn't tell you how bad...
Will you get yourself together?
I don't even know what I'm fucking doing, Rebecca! Zach's in jail. Some scumbag is holding my best friend responsible for a crime he didn't commit. Isabella's never coming back, no matter how many times I apologize to her. You want me to admit it? Fine. This whole mess is tearing me apart. We should have listened. Fuck, I should have listened. But I just stood there, just judging her, and I'm not even sure what I'm supposed to do right now.
We both falter to silence at my words, and an awkward, stifling mood descends between us. I do not mean to shout, to snap at her, to add to that kindling. Not in a moment when any time, anywhere, she, that damn ghost, might get to one of us. We're both in the same boat, yet here we are, playing the blame game. Little by little, we're falling apart, caving into the pressure, to the bleak situation we're trapped in. Did that ghost mean for this to happen? To divide each of us so she can pick us off one by one right after? Who knows? Anything's possible now if her kind can exist. With the fire burning between us rising as high as it does now, I'm afraid, deathly afraid, that the possibility might come sooner than I can figure all of this out. I can't even believe the next words coming out of my own mouth. That out of everyone, I have to be the one saying these to her. This is more her forte than mine. Keeping the peace, placating everyone, while I unintentionally aggravate people with badly chosen words. Funny how fast the tables have been turned after just one unfortunate incident. How am I even supposed to cope?
I swear, I'll get us out of this mess. But if we want to make it out of this in one piece, we're gonna have to calm down first.
Alright, after spending the night at the local park, Ashton and Rebecca tried to figure out what their next step will be. However, coupled with stress and the guilt Ashton had been carrying with him, their conversation quickly went downhill. In the end, Ashton walked out, suggesting they cool their heads first. Before my own temper flares, I walk away and slide back into my car. If the door slams with more force than needed, I'd like to blame it on the pent-up anger boiling up in me. I'm not even sure what or who I am angry at. The ghost? At her sudden outburst? Or maybe at myself for being this useless. Because despite her not saying anything, I know, goddammit, she's still counting on me. In spite of my failures, or every harsh word I've uttered, or how unbearable I can be as a friend. It's there when the tension after the argument finally breaks, and she follows me and gets in the car. It's in concerned glances she shoots my way when I start the engine without a word and drive off. It's in her silence, a heavy gift, her unwavering trust. Yet it's one I'm more than willing to carry, even through my own exhaustion, if only to keep her safe. In this city of 68,000 strangers, she's the only one I have left. Okay, I might be able to skip here. Yes, grand. I do like being able to skip. Right, and we've lost Zachary, unfortunately. Afraid that I have lost someone in my life again. Okay, might be able to skip this. Yes. Sorry, Zachary. Like what? Same plea written on the floor closest to him. Like the one I've seen in Isabella's room that night. Help me, help me, help me. Help that he didn't even get. Eey. Just like Isabella's mangled body in her room. Another memory will probably haunt me until my last dying breath. Another regret. Okay. Oh, yeah, I think I was able to skip a bit. The thought of telling Rebecca about this, it will upset her. I don't even want to imagine what his grandparents will say. Alright, so then we screamed into the ether our grief. No. Poor Ashton. Around this time, the patrons usually start to trickle into the main lounge until it reaches a peak around midnight. Today, however, it remains thin. But considering what day it isn't too worrisome for the kind of business G runs. He has always complained about the lack of a decent crowd on week start, although he doesn't really begrudge his customers for it. No one wants to start the week with a bad case of a hangover, after all. Even him. Which makes the concerned look he gives me come off a bit too odd. With the kind of danger we're in, and after what happened to Zach, this swiftly puts me on the edge, even before I can fully process and analyze the scene in front of me.
Something wrong, G?
G hums, but there's an undertone of annoyance in it, despite his casual and open movements. And only after he finishes wiping a tumbler and carefully settles it face down on the table does he give me an answer. The way he stares back at me honestly makes me squirm. It feels like I'm being stared down by my primary school teacher for sleeping in class again.
Nothing much. Monday's still a slow day for this place. But you, might want to check on your friends, kid. Looks like someone woke up on the wrong side of the bed while you were out.
Oh no, not again. Another question forms in my head along with a small, confused frown. Though before a single syllable slips past my mouth, single syllable slips, he gestures his head on the far side of the pub's main lounge. In a corner, Rebecca paces in deep thought with a scowl on her face. From the looks of it, it appears woke up on the wrong side of the bed is a complete understatement. In fact, I think she might hit the next person who tests her temper. Turns out sleep isn't just what some of us need. Even G appears to understand it. In spite of his efforts to look as unconcerned as possible, there's a tense set on his shoulders. A nervous edge lingers in his eyes as it occasionally flickers over Rebecca. He doesn't want to deal with this, especially at the start of another busy week. Neither do I. Rebecca's mood can be quite volatile. But the imploring gaze G directs at me leaves me with no other choice. It almost feels like he's guilting me into doing something about it. I hate that it's working.
You know how I run this pub, kid. No fist fights, no cat fights, no people in sullen moods, only good booze, bad puns, and off-key singing. Go fix it before it turns into something chaotic.
It's probably not as petty if Rebecca's already in that state, but I give him a nod nevertheless.
Sorry about this, G.
He hums something under his breath for an answer and waves me off, turning away and returning to his work without another word. Even with the lack of a sizable crowd, he likes to keep busy. We're the same in that regard. Can't remain still, always has to stay moving. Doing something, thinking, whatever keeps the brain at work. I leave him to it shortly after. Part of me wants to thank him for all the trouble he has taken for people he barely even knows. Once this is over, I should probably find some way. In the meantime, I have this immediate problem to fix. Gotta get to this before it turns into a shitstorm. The area of the pub she's in is almost deserted. We might be able to skip, I'm not sure. No, okay. Because this is similar to when Bella and Becca fight and then you pick which one you want to go follow. I'm willing to bet my entire life savings that people are staying away only because of the brewing storm. Rebecca can have quite the mood when she's crossed. Whatever pissed her off this time, the way she's glaring up the wall already says everything. Before I can approach and intervene, though, Rebecca soon slumps on the chair. Gingerly, she reaches up to press the bridge of her nose and breathing out a ragged exhale. She only looks like this when stress has drained both her patience and energy. Usually more than her rowdy students do, despite being no stranger to it. In the quietness of the room, I find myself drifting towards her and taking the empty seat next to her. Shortly, she leans her shoulders to mine, like she used to all those years ago. Okay, now? Nope. Back when all that mattered to us were grades and what kind of trouble we'll get into the next weekend. No curse, no letter, no ghosts. Just us and whenever our imagination will take us.
How are you holding up?
Barely, but I'll be fine. It's probably just this curse thing getting to me.
That bad, huh?
She makes a face, having been caught in her lie before allowing a small smile to replace it.
Excuse me, you're stuck in this nightmare too.
At least you're not shouting at anyone. That's something you don't see every day. I think you scared G for a bit there.
I just can't wait for this whole thing to be over. That way we can go back to how everything used to be.
You know that's impossible.
A truth. And we both falter into silence in the face of it. Her mouth opens briefly, and I assume she's about to argue her opinion about it. Maybe say something contrary to it. But eventually, she simply nods, breathes out, and relaxes her rigid posture. A rare occurrence when she almost always has something on her mind. Seeing it, a smile spreads across my face, knowing and perhaps a little pleased. It's one thing to know of change. Watching it play out in front of me is an entirely different matter. In that one exchange, I've caught a short, clear glimpse of what has shifted, of what's inevitable. So much has changed throughout the years. We will never be the same person we once were. And perhaps it's for the better. Rebecca notices soon enough, like she always did. Whatever she sees in my face startles her, causing her to jerk away.
Why are you staring at me like that?
Nothing. Don't mind me.
I know that look, Ashton Frey. That's definitely not a nothing. You wouldn't be wearing that expression if you didn't have something on your mind.
Really? It's nothing. It's just that when we were kids, you weren't really the kind of person who spoke her mind. Someone else always had to stand up for you. You've changed a lot, Becca.
What did you expect? It's been, what, 17, 18 years?
What I'm trying to say is, I think I like this version of you more.
A beat.
Except when you're mad, and you're yelling, and you're glaring daggers at everyone.
Ash.
You're pretty scary, you know.
Well, don't say that so casually.
Baka.
Also, if you're just going to complain, we might as well just end this talk right now.
See what I mean? Even Z-Man's scared of you. I'd bet my entire salary on it.
Too soon. We just lost Zach, man. She swats at my arm, the gesture light and familiar. It causes us both to burst into peals of laughter afterwards. When was the last time we shared something like this? I can't even remember. It's nice, though, to have another conversation like this. To sit side by side, simply enjoying each other's company. I'm not very fond of looking back to the past. Most of it means having to remember unpleasant things for me. But sometimes, coiled around the bad, there are good ones. And Rebecca's there for the most of it. Things may change, but her friendship is one thing I will hold dear. We may meet new people throughout our lives, but that doesn't mean I will care for her any less. Which makes this whole business with the letter even more urgent. I still have one lead. So much is at stake. I can't let this curse take another one. If such a thing even makes sense when dealing with the supernatural. Tonight, by any means, I need to go back to that accursed place. Alone. Because who knows what we might find in there. Whether she agrees with this plan is inconsequential. Bink, blink, blink. With Zach and Isabella gone, her well-being is my top priority, and I'm not just about to drag her in there with me. My apprehension must have been quite obvious in my face. In a sudden motion, Rebecca reaches out and taps my arm. Although she does it gently, it startles me nevertheless, and it's enough to put a worried look on her. For a moment she studies my face, eyes scrutinizing, searching. But before I can even avert my gaze, keep her from getting a read on me, she straightens, her worry abruptly fading into a look of disapproval.
You have a plan in mind, don't you?
It's a simple yes or no question. I can easily lie, yet her tone completely belies everything her words mean. I may as well tell her everything. When all is said and done, she's still one of the few people I trust. However, every vein in my body knows she'll be the first one to disagree, put her foot down and stop me. And once she does, who else will be left to fix this? Her? I do understand her concerns, but there are times when they are misplaced. This complication isn't what I need at the moment. But what am I supposed to say? What is she expecting to hear from me? What answer will satisfy her? She certainly appears like she's hoping for more than a yes or no, for an answer I can't give at the moment. What else, then? Okay, this is probably going to be our last choice with her, so I'm going to go positive, and we'll see what happens.
I need to head off somewhere tonight.
Okay, that's pretty good. And still below Luke. Okay, I think I might have done it. A vague answer. It's all I can offer, and hopefully this will be enough. It's not an outright lie, but that, though, doesn't make me feel any less awful about this. It's worse when you know she's asking only because she's worried. Part of me wants to tell her, admit exactly what I'm planning tonight. What good will it do, though? I do intend to tell G before leaving tonight. He has to know if he's going to be keeping an eye on her for me. One person is already enough, however. Hell, simply letting someone in on the plan makes me iffy. Broadening that circle and revealing too much would just cause another pointless concern. But someone has to be aware, at least of where I'm heading off to, in case things don't pan out. Expect the worst, even if I've only intended to do a quick survey of the place. In my own words, risky. Rebecca doesn't need to know the kind of danger I might be throwing myself in tonight. I don't even want to think what she'll say the second she finds out I'm doing exactly as I told her not to. She should prioritize herself and her own safety first before others. But it's never that easy with her, isn't it?
Am I allowed to ask questions this time?
You're asking one right now, aren't you?
It's a serious question, Ashton. Yes or no?
You can, but I can't promise I'll answer them.
That's a nice way of saying no. You might as well just tell me to shut up.
You know I don't mean it like that.
Is there something I can do at least?
For an instant I hesitate, pausing, fumbling for an answer. It's more difficult with her, because all this time she still looks to me as if I'm the same kid from years ago, who she depended on when she has yet to find herself, who she turned to for answers despite my lack of them. It makes me all the more afraid to fuck up this time. And in case I do, she's the last person I want to be with me. Getting her into trouble? Getting her killed is not how I want to repay the friendship she has so generously offered after all these years. My friends are not supposed to be the ones taking the repercussions of my mistakes. Those are of my own doing, of my own responsibility. A fear, a heavy weight on my shoulders they shouldn't be dragged into carrying. However, there's one thing I can trust her with.
Stay safe.
And then a moment's pause. A hesitation while I try to choose the words to use, while I figure out how to break it to her. Because despite having never grown closer with Zach, unlike with Isabella, he is also a friend to her. He is a loss all the same, for both of us.
Because Zach won't be with us anymore. The
words won't form and my throat closes up. But I don't need to look at her to know how she's taking this news. There's a sorrow in her, palpable enough as soon as the meaning of what I've said sinks in. A pain I can't even hope to understand, one that we'll both deal with in our own ways. In the end, I can only urge her to carry on.
You're good with that kind of stuff.
You don't need to remind me. I can take care of myself well enough.
A grimace is on her face, but I know she'll do it, even without me asking for it. She cares, more than anyone, more than what her fiery temper expresses. All these story updates, I'm like, I want huge percentages increased in Ash's chapter. Please. And it eases something in me. Sure enough, after a stretch of silence, she eventually nods. She does not entirely agree with this. It's in the distant look on her face. But she's willing to trust me on this. For now, that's enough. Either way, it's best that we simply leave things here for now. There is already an understanding, albeit something we both don't agree with. No need to push it further. With a light, reassuring squeeze on her shoulder, I stand up. At the same time, footsteps shuffle from the pub's entrance and cheerful chatter suddenly fills the room as a group of people enters. It's all the distraction I need. Alright. Time to find out how the whole parking lot interaction goes. Aw, that's pretty cute, though. When Ashton showed up at the pub's main lounge again, he found Rebecca alone in a corner. Even without him saying anything, Rebecca knew he had a plan in mind. Something he could only hint at, to Rebecca's disappointment. When all was said and done, the detective simply asked her to stay safe. Muttering an excuse and flashing Rebecca a quick smile, I beat a hasty exit out of the main lounge and leave her on her own, despite the troubled look she shoots me. Before Rebecca can say what's on her mind. Before the last frustrated glare she directs my way forces me to change my mind. It's another lasting image that firmly etches itself in my memory. One that spurs the conscience, among other things. I just hope I won't regret what I've chosen for myself tonight. Okay. Okay, so I skipped a bit. 4 hours is all I'm giving myself to get this done. Regardless of how generous that is, each second's just as important as the next. With a brief detour needed, I can't waste time dallying here. If this is all connected, I need that damn piece of paper with me, however ridiculous it sounds. Unfortunately, it's still in the evidence locker at the precinct. Can I... Nope. We're in our own new separate Becca interaction, I guess. Or maybe that's a stroke of luck on its own. I'll find out soon enough. Taking out evidence from my own department under a pretense is something I don't do every day. Or ever. But priorities, lives at stake, and all that. I don't know why I read that there instead of here, but whatever. Moving on. So I hurry, one footstep over the other, echoing as I make a beeline for my car. But as with every plan, problems crop up at the last second. It's practically a universal rule. And it does, in the form of a lone figure waiting for me next to my car. Rebecca turns just as I near, the corners of her mouth twitching up in a wry smile. She offers no greeting except for a slight tilt of her head. Even as my pace slows and I look at her with all the unvoiced questions in my eyes, she remains wordless, merely throwing her head back and shifting her attention up at the starless sky when I come up to stand beside her. Another gust of wind blows as she breathes out a sigh, weary, thick with something close to resignation. The breeze carries all of it away while she hugs her arms closer to herself to keep warm, which raises the question why she's out here. The air is already heavy with the promise of rain. With clouds obscuring the view, there's really nothing left to look at but a dark blanket of nothingness. Still, she stands here as if she's intentionally waiting for everything to fall. That or she's here for some other reason. But before I can voice a single word, express a disapproval of any kind, she raises a halting hand at me, sharply cutting off the rest of my question.
I'm not here to stop you. Wherever it is you're planning to go off tonight, I won't be able to anyway. You look like you've already made up your mind.
Go back inside. It's going to rain soon. It'll probably be even heavier than the downpour we had this morning. You wouldn't want to be caught in it.
I will, in a moment. I just want to stay out here a bit for some air. away from the noise inside. Everything's been so chaotic these days. This little break is nice. Even if it means standing in the middle of a parking lot, of all places. Getting out of this mess would definitely be better, but hey, you take what you can get, right?
It'll be over soon.
Shh, it'll be over soon. The confidence in my own words surprises even me. How do I know? Why am I so sure? When, in truth, what I'm about to do is a last-ditch effort. If this fails, if I don't find anything, we're back to square one. It's the last lead I have. After this, we have nothing else to go off from. Regardless, it seems to amuse her, and her laughter soon sounds above the murmur of the distant traffic and the light draft sweeping around us.
How I wish. I'll be content as long as she stops showing up in my mind whenever I close my eyes.
I think that may take some time. The brain doesn't easily forget trauma.
I can try, but, you know, it also did a lot to us.
Tell me about it. The back of my head's still smarting from my fall last night.
Not that kind. I'm talking about us. As people. I hate to admit it, but this whole deal with the ghost, with the curse, it also brought out an ugly side to us. To all of us. And it made me realize plenty of things. About myself, about us.
Rebecca trails off. Suddenly a pensive expression spreads across her face. I've seen it countless of times before. And every time I see it on her, it's usually followed by a memory. A silly story, or even something embarrassing I've said from childhood. Unlike me, who'll much rather forget, she remembers each of them so easily. And after a short bout of silence, when she smiles, I know this is one of those times again.
Do you remember that one time, back in secondary?
Which one? We did a lot of dumb things back then. Well, I did, but you get the point.
Mandy.
I thought you still don't like her. Don't tell me you've kept in contact with her. Are you guys friends now or something?
Oh no. We do see each other sometimes. On the way to work or when I go out for lunch, but it's nothing like that. We're not friends. Not in this lifetime. I don't think so. I don't think we'll ever get along, but if it wasn't for her, we wouldn't even be friends, yeah? You stood up for me that day. And from then on, things have changed.
She makes it sound like I'm sort of a hero. Mandy was in the wrong. Of course I'll defend her. If no one's going to stand up for her, who else will? Chances are it would have escalated, and who knows? Maybe she would have stopped going to school or transferred. Any decent human being with an ounce of sense should know better. I acted because I know what I'm doing is what's right. It's as simple as that. Yet she smiles as if it's worth more than that. A fondness that goes beyond nostalgia.
I guess what I'm trying to get at is, this time, I don't want this to go unsaid. You know, just in case something happens. Ash, I've always been in love with you.
She says it so plainly, holding my gaze and in a voice too frank, that her admission stuns me into silence. Like the wind has suddenly been knocked out of me in one fell swoop. No words will form, not even a single coherent thought as the meaning of her words bear down on me. Nevertheless, she continues, desperate to express everything she has kept to herself all these years. This is what the fondness is. Why, for her, it weighs heavier than any feelings of nostalgia can carry.
Since that time in secondary, since I made that promise to never leave, I've always truly loved you.
Afterwards, there is relief, a weight suddenly being lifted from her shoulders after so long. She closes her eyes and lets out a breath. When she looks back to me, though, there's nothing but hope in them. Eyes that are searching for an answer. Facing the sincerity behind her words, I find myself grasping, scrambling for the words. Interesting. I thought for sure she wouldn't, confess this time, because I spent a lot of time with Luke, and we had the whole conversation about, you know, Ash is not really the same person anymore. So this is interesting. Oh, but he will not reciprocate. That's interesting. Even though Bella just stayed at the same, he will not reciprocate. Because as much as this pains me to admit, I can't give her the same affection she's asking from me. We might have spent so many years alongside each other. Hell, we practically grew up together. But that never automatically means I'll ever hold for her feelings that goes beyond the boundaries of friendship. I do appreciate her presence in my life. I'm more than glad that she has stuck with me even through the toughest moments, even when she finds me difficult or aggravating. However, it's really all there is to it. She is a close, important friend to me, but nothing more.
Rebecca,
I draw in a breath, ragged, unsure, uncertain how and which words to put together so it will hurt her less, so the wounds they might leave won't be as deep or scar. Though before I can even string two phrases together, she lifts a hand to my mouth and silences me. A smile is on her face, kinder than every single one I've seen from her so far. It's nice to see it on her. It suits her more than the glares or the frowns. But at the same time, it only serves to baffle me.
You don't have to answer me.
yeah, but you should... I should...
No, I mean, you don't need to.
Okay, now I'm really confused.
Same.
One moment you're saying you've been in love with me since secondary, now you're telling me to shut up?
If you want to interpret it like that, all right.
No, really. Some explanation would be nice, Becca. Because a lot of things are going on right now, and I'm afraid I can't catch up. Especially with this curveball you just threw.
It means what it means, Ashton. You don't need to answer me. I don't really need to hear it anymore. It's not that I don't want to. Believe me, if I were the same person I was before this whole thing happened to us, I'd be elated. Excited even.
Okay, so she did change her mind.
But like I said, I also realized some things. Understood myself more. Ash, I did love you. Ever since we were kids, all those times you defended me from bullies. I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. Even after this. But at the end of the day, once you take a closer look at everything, it also turned me into a really selfish person. When you think about it, maybe the Ashton I loved isn't the one standing in front of me right now. Maybe all this time, I'm still clinging on to that aloof kid I met 17 years ago.
Okay, I'm very happy because this is the Becca I like the most.
I didn't even consider that you have a mind of your own. That one day, it won't just be the two of us. That you'll find someone else and it won't be me.
I'm sorry, Becca.
I'm not even sure what I'm apologizing for. That I can't return her feelings? Or because I'm somehow holding myself responsible for this, even if up until now I have no idea how she felt? Regardless, she continues to smile through all of it.
It's not your fault. Don't say that. I'm the one who should apologize. Since I suddenly sprung this up on you when you have other things to do, I just thought I should let you know. So I can finally let this whole thing go. I know you're still hurting. More than anyone. So I'm not expecting anything. All these years, for you, it has only been her.
Despite how fresh the wounds are, heat still abruptly crawls up my face, no matter my efforts to keep it down. In the end, I can only look away from her, afraid of what else she'll see in it.
Was it that obvious?
It was surprisingly easy to tell. But that was probably because I've known you longer than anyone. I think Zach also suspects.
Suspected.
Of course. Everyone but her.
With your terrible way of flirting. And knowing her, I'm quite sure Belle had no idea. She wouldn't have known about it unless you shouted it right in her face.
You know she wouldn't like that.
And that's not how you would have told her.
I wasn't even given the chance.
Ah, man, the feels. Rather, there have been plenty of chances. I refuse to take all of it. Now it's all too late. A pensive mood overcomes us. For a long minute we stand there, silent, simply remembering our loss. With it, however, the awkward atmosphere lifts at last. There's only that camaraderie we've shared since meeting in that classroom 17 years ago.
Anyway, thanks for hearing me out. I won't keep you long. I know you have things to do. Just promise me you'll be careful, all right?
She doesn't wait for an answer. Instead, she gives me a push with a force only heavy enough to throw me off balance. Caught unawares by the gesture, for a few moments I fight for purchase against my car's trunk, bracing my hand on its smooth surface. Alright, let's look at this. Ashton left for the mansion at nightfall, but when he got to his car he found Rebecca waiting for him. Fearing she might not have the chance, Rebecca confessed her feelings. But before he could answer, Rebecca stopped him, admitted she had been selfish, and she was letting him go. She only wanted him to know. When I look up, with a string of reprimands ready at the tip of my tongue, Rebecca's already halfway through the parking lot. There's a small skip in her steps while the breeze carries the light tune she's whistling. On a whim, I let its notes be the last thing I commit to memory before slipping inside my car and driving off. It sounds like a new beginning, more than anything, despite the person no longer with us. If she can hear this, she'll tell me it's another reason to be optimistic. And it is. Bella will always be with us, no matter what. Okay, so we're back to Skipsville. I wonder if the mirror shards or bottle shards will have something new to tell us. Possibly. Ah, it's just the mirror. Okay, no shards. That's fine. So Becca's alive. Are you gonna suplex this boy? Yeah, did it. Nicely done, Ashton. Whoa! Hi, Becca. Fancy seeing you here. What's up? Okay. In one corner, Rebecca watches almost as surprised to see me. Relieved as I am that she has had the sense not to venture deeper into the mansion, I can't help but roll my eyes at her, although she preempts me with a reprimand of her own.
Did you really think you could hide this from me?
I had to, Becca.
You know, if I didn't ask a G, I wouldn't even have any idea. I know I said I won't stop you, but I had no idea this was where you planned on going.
So the first thing you did is go straight here, too.
What do you think?
And how did you even get in here?
We both exchange a look. One that I absolutely don't like.
Someone was screaming, Ash. It led me here.
Without warning, the door behind me slams shut.
We need to get out of here.
Screw Wright. I need to get her out of here. Lucky we're in the kitchen and we have two ways out. The back door and the cellar offers. Except the hatch won't budge when I pull at it, and neither does the back door. As if something has locked it firmly on the other side. Rebecca also gives it a few tries, but even then it won't open. There's a long bout of silence in which we simply look at each other, likely sharing the same thoughts. We're trapped. Something or someone has intentionally led us here. Fuck. In that same moment, once realization dawns in, something shifts again. Blood. Okay. Kitchen greeted him. We might be able to skip? Yes. Okay. Gotta run through this.
She will eventually die because of you.
Bloody mansion was what I was gonna say.
And you are going to die alone.
Thanks, Zach. Or Ghost Zach. Briefly, Rebecca hesitates mid-climb and looks back at me, raising an eyebrow, asking for some sort of a confirmation from me.
Go ahead. I'll watch your back.
Surprisingly, she follows without any protests. Not that there is any need to. Sometime after entering this room, the whole place has calmed down. No wails, no whispers, just a silence too deafening. But I'm not letting my guard down until she's on the other side of this nightmare safe. For all I know, this may just be a calm before another storm. Without further incident, however, Rebecca makes it to the other side, and I'm following after her. However odd this hush is, I turn my back from it and climb up. It's a tight fit, but I manage to squeeze myself in. The unease remains, though. Maybe it's the adrenaline still coursing through me, or how easy everything has been after living through that nightmare, fleeting as it is. But for some reason, something's still nagging at me. Call it a detective's instinct, or my training, or whatnot. I have a feeling something's going to happen and catch us unprepared. Unconsciously, before dropping down on the better side of the stream, my hand shifts to the gun at my hip. Instinct has never failed me before. My feet haven't even landed firmly on the floor when...
Had I known there would be a party in my own home tonight, I would have opened a bloody bottle or two. people these days. In my own home. Can you believe it? I feel so left out.
A chill seeps into every vein in my body. All of a sudden, every ache, every pain returns to me tenfold, and my knees threaten to buckle at the sound of his voice. Though it appears friendly, I know it is anything but. One does not spend investigating a man like him for over a year and holding a grudge against him for more without knowing everything about him. His quirks, his habits. I'm familiar with all of them. And right now, Luke fucking Wright is beyond pissed. Shifting my gaze upwards is nearly too painful knowing the danger. Not to me, but to those who have been lured in here by the curse. She looks so angry. The handgun catches my eyes first, next to that smarmy smile on his face while he holds Rebecca at gunpoint. It's sight enough to lodge a painful thorn up my throat. I've been too complacent. Too focused on other things that I've completely set aside the fact the scumbag will not be too pleased to see us here without knowing our reasons. But even with those, good intentions, curses, and ghostly apparitions aside, we're still trespassing in his home. The question is if he's even aware that the whole of his household has somehow disappeared and he might be the only one here. Likely not. Fuck. Even with someone he knows, there's a significant effort in him not to simply shoot her.
And really, Daisy, even you, what would Kylie say?
Luke, this isn't what you're thinking. You have to listen to us. There's something going on here.
Well, obviously, why else would people be trespassing in my home? What's your excuse? Checking on Tio, Luke? Is this an evaluation you teachers are so fond of? Is that it? Is this what this is?
Is that it?
I'm doing good, by the way. Kylie just paid a visit yesterday. Lots of drawings involved.
Creepy ones.
Luke, please.
Oh, please, what?
Just this once. Will you listen to what people are telling you? You need to leave this place as soon as you can.
Tut, not a good enough excuse, darling. You people are the ones who need to get out of my sight.
Don't worry, I always consider pressing lighter charges if it's a woman I have to deal with in court. Can't say the same for feathers here, though.
But really now? I swear, people need to stop breaking into my house! This is how you want to start the week. Why don't we just go with a bloody massacre if we want to surprise people in their homes, huh?
Casually, he waves the handgun at her, as if it's just a mere toy and his words are no threat. The safety's off on his. Nothing stopping him from pushing through with his words. Call me paranoid, but at the slight gesture, I draw my own and level it at him, finger on the trigger and ready to release the safety catch in case things go south. Alright, might be able to skip here. We will find out in a second, yes? Bang bang.
Sorry about this.
Bang bang. Alright, should be hearing Becca scream out.
Rebecca!
Oh, he screams first. Time slows to a stop. In one moment of clarity, my body moves on its own, heart pounding hard against my ears, blood rushing through every vein, spurred only by adrenaline in a desperate bid to reach her crouched, unsuspecting form, and I don't even get to yell for her a second time. I don't even get to call her name.
Ash!
An acute pain bursts through my chest in the next instant. All of a sudden, everything around me feels too sharp, every edge, every point. Even the act of drawing a deep breath alone stings and burns my lungs, while an intense ache slowly spreads throughout my whole body. Numb. I feel numb. A hand comes away bleeding, shaking, while I can only let out a wet, ragged laugh. Soon, without warning, I'm going down on my knees, and the whole world is pitching sideways. An arm, firm and stable, is on me the second I stumble back, catching my fall. Ah, she's there. Aw. Poor Becca. He noticed something fly by, rapidly heading towards Rebecca. His body moved on its own. She has always been like that, after all.
Ashton?
Her hands are shaking, her lips are quivering while she looks at me with worry. Tears have started to form at their corners, threatening to spill at any moment, and a pang of regret hits me at the sight of it.
This kind of feels like old times, doesn't it?
Just like the old times. Yeah, when you got impaled by something, sure.
Ash, don't.
Sorry, Becca. Looks like this will be the last.
Looks like I won't be able to protect you anymore. Cautiously, despite the stabbing aches shooting up at every movement, I reach a trembling hand up to wipe the tears away. She's never the type to cry, after all. My arm never makes it far, however. Midway, she meets my hand, catching it in a tight grip as if to still hold on to me. Not that she will be able to. It's all slipping away. Just slowly. The pain is easing. Everything is going cold.
Stay put, Ash. We'll get you to a hospital. Don't move. And stop talking. You're making it worse. Don't worry. You'll be fine. We'll get you help.
I'd like to agree with that on her. Reassure her. But I've gone through a lot. Survived a lot of shit. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that I'm done for. Whatever hit me, a hole to the chest is fatal enough. I don't think I'm going to bounce back from this. I'm dying.
I'm sorry.
I should be afraid in this moment. Yet I'm not. No fear. No dread. Just an acceptance. And a deep regret as she appears before us, her voice echoing throughout the foyer. At the top of the staircase, Hannah Wright stands, pale as death, and expression eerily calm. A cold chill runs up my spine at the sight. The woman just lingers there, a poor mimicry of life, a chilling smile on her face. Without a doubt, it's her.
I told you, didn't I? Everything you're doing is useless, Ashton Frey. And now, you're dying. Meddlesome fool.
Hannah? You're not supposed to be here.
Oh, Luke, darling, my love. You look so upset. Are you not happy to see me?
Outside, another streak of lightning flashes and a clap of thunder ripples across the sky. Here, there's only a whispered sigh, a fading breath, and a lone heart that beats hard one last time. She got one thing wrong, though. I did not die alone. And there she is. Okay. Final chapter. Let's clear that out of the way, and then we'll see what changes for Lukey Boy this time around. May not change until we actually get to the end in the foyer, but we shall see if anything else changes. If he has any, like, Becca thoughts or anything. I don't think he had any Marianne thoughts until we just kind of started talking to her. But we shall see. Oh. Okay. Wasn't expecting it to stop at Zachary, of all places. Okay. Hannah would disapprove, scold me for treating the man with such disrespect. She seemed fond of him after all, treated him like a friend she had known for years. But she is no longer here, isn't she?
You! Again! It's bloody 6 in the morning! What the hell is it now?
Oh.
Listen, sir, I know this is not a good time.
Oh, it's not a good time! Did you even check the clock before coming here? I bet you didn't!
My home, my rules now. As simple as that.
Unlike you, the ones living in this house need to sleep.
Oddly, the words taste foreign and bitter in my tongue. A remorse slowly taking home, creeping up and twining inside, reminding me of my transgressions when it hasn't done so before. Funny how the years have changed me. So I let anger guide them instead, if only because it's easier to cast it away when you have someone else to project it onto. It just so happens as a person I will never take a liking to, no matter what the memory of her says in my mind. A plus, I suppose. A blessing. At least I won't feel any remorse if my ire does pierce.
Only you matters, no one else.
Come back when people are actually awake, or I'll call security on you.
Interesting. I wonder why that changed. Just that little bit. I mean, we've had that discussion with Zach multiple times. That black man, this gollywog who thought he could be friendly with Hannah, had the audacity to make her smile as she had when he came to visit the house. How come he's more jealous this time? What did I do? He had thought to steal my wife from me, And here he is breaking into my home. In an attempt to try and rob me blind, no doubt. Not only would he be a thief in name, but in action. I was wrong not to have the security drag him out of my property when I had the chance earlier. His ilk are trouble. Always have been. I've no doubt that their true intentions are as dark as their skin. For a long time, people like him have given me trouble in my youth. And some of their men would even dare lay a hand upon my mother, as if their presence was welcome and their stolen money meant anything. Okay, are we back? Yeah. Unfortunately for him, he would have neither Hana nor my things, or anything else ever again if I have anything to say about it.
Hana? Hana, darling?
Huh. Well, I don't know what I did, but I made Luke really jelly this time, for some reason. I'll take it, I guess. Okay, it stopped again. I mean, I'll take it. I'll take my changes, whatever they be. At least one of us should get some good R&R, because it's not like Harvey isn't going to get any. Especially now that his darling wife has left him. I'll be making him busy. As punishment for his slacking off and for her disrespect, too. Really, I pity the poor old man. Maybe I should send him a gift basket. Perhaps more caffeine and smokes to help him along with his bad habits. Oh, this is different because usually the station is freaking out over Becca's death. I understand. Before I can leave the precinct, however, a shoulder bumps into mine. I wait for an apology. And I wait.
Excuse me.
Excuse? Oh no. Well, I wasn't expecting this showdown, but do go on. There's a twitch in my eye that I can't hide as I look back at the rude old bastard. Especially not when all he does is look back at me as if this is the first time he's seen me. As if he hadn't just nearly shoved me over with his big lump of a body.
You're excused.
Old bastard. The way he says it. The way he looks at me. It leaves me feeling so cold, and I have this gut feeling telling me I should know him. But he doesn't even let me get a word in when he disappears through a door.
A bloody wanker.
That was his chance to poison him. Woo-wee. Interesting. Okay. Alright. Had an Andrew-Luke confrontation. Very, very interesting. Alright. Let's continue. Skippity, skippity, skipperoo. Alright. We told Becca all about your visit, Kylie. As we waved a gun menacingly in her face. Alright. Flashback time. Alright. And we run all the way home. Okay. And now it's the actual day of the event. We'll find out what happens. There she is. Our girl. Okay. Ugh. The delivery of eyeballs. Man, so many journal entries. There we go. I think that's... Yep. And from where I stand at the top of the stairs, I can easily make out her form. Recognize her, even. It's all gone crazy when another intruder come into my house. I'm no stranger to a cop playing dirty. The smart ones knew that neither life nor criminals are going to play fair. But Daisy? What would Kylie think of her Miss Pink if the poor tyke finds out about this? To top it off, she has the nerve to look surprised when I announce my presence.
Well, well, what have we here? If I were any less sober, I'd say this is the beginning of a joke.
Bloody trespassers, what is wrong with the people of this city? Did they really think I'll be fine with them walking into my home like this? What is she even doing in here? If I didn't know any better, she might also be behind Hana's disappearance.
That's right, my love.
She must have a motive.
Make them pay.
And it better be a good one.
For all wrong they've done to us.
Or a bullet to the head is the least she will deserve. I don't make a habit of harming women, of course, but this is just crossing the line.
Let's see. A high school teacher walks into a mansion.
Boom. Thunder crackles once again, cutting me off. This time its sound hits close enough that it nearly feels as if the windows and the ground itself are rumbling. All is deathly still for a moment. I don't let it stop me, however, as I slowly make my way towards her. Taking one careful step at a time, relishing the expression of fear in her eyes. I suppose there's something ominous in this setting, with the heavy rain outside and the lack of light here. I kinda like it, to be honest. Adds something to the atmosphere. I suppose I must look like the villain now. But short of me getting close to her, a noise to my left distracts me, briefly halting my movements while curiosity takes over every murmurs in my head. And it's a good thing perhaps that I did, because as soon as I look up I see him. The detective from a few days ago, the one Lee mentioned. Just as he's about to jump down from furniture that has somehow ended up piled and blocking the door to the parlor. What happened there? And did he really think it's all right to do that in other people's house? Lout.
Teach him, my lord. Put him in his place.
My hand's already moving before any rationale can stop me, fingers firm at my gun when I finally release the safety from it and take aim. Not at him, but at Daisy. She's his friend, isn't she? Or maybe a lover? Doesn't matter. I know his kind follows some form of moral standard. He won't let an innocent be harmed, especially if it's someone he cares about. My finger on the trigger is more than itching to shoot, but I hold back. Sure, I could have simply taken aim at him. But more than seeing him bleed, I want to see the expression on his face once he realizes everything he's doing is futile. He's trapped. A life's in my hand. His life's in my hand.
Had I known there would be a party in my own home tonight, I would have opened a bloody bottle or two. People these days, in my own home. Can you believe it? I feel so left out.
I can tell the exact moment the realization dawns on him. A short second of his body freezing and blood draining from his face as soon as his feet hits the floor and he looks up. He's already a prey, trapped by his own recklessness.
Pathetic.
And really, Daisy, even you, what would Kylie say?
Luke, this isn't what you're thinking. You have to listen to us. There's something going on here.
Well, obviously, why else would people be trespassing in my home? What's your excuse? Checking on T.O. Luke? Is this an evaluation you teachers are so fond of? Is that it? Is this what this is? I'm doing good, by the way. Kylie just paid a visit yesterday. Lots of drawings involved.
Luke, please.
Oh, please what?
Just this once. Will you listen to what people are telling you? You need to leave this place as soon as you can.
Tut, not a good enough excuse, darling. You people are the ones who need to get out of my sight.
Don't worry, I always consider pressing lighter charges if it's a woman I have to deal with in court.
Can't say the same for Feathers here, though. What's really now? I swear, people need to stop breaking into my house! This is how you want to start the week. Why don't we just go with a bloody massacre if we want to surprise people in their homes, huh?
It's just a passing remark, of course. I'm not stupid enough to do something that'll bring negative attention to myself. Reputation and all that. I can't just risk it. The thought of having more dead bodies here, it's already quite too much. It'll literally be overkill, especially for someone like me. Nevertheless, joke or not, Feathers wastes no time drawing his own gun at the slight wave of my own, even if he knows it's already too late. Alright. So I could skip that time. And the next second he falls, down on one knee, desperately trying to keep himself up with what strength he has left. But eventually his own body caves in, taking the horrified Daisy down with him, muttering quietly to her as something distinctly red flows from his body. Blood? This man isn't supposed to be dead yet. He isn't supposed to. I didn't shoot him, I'm sure of it. So what killed him? What in bloody blazes is going on here? Is it so wrong to just want a quiet night where nothing needs attending to? Just one normal night. Quickly, everything has turned crazy with perilous happenings that are hard to explain. But it seems that when it comes to me, death is always around the corner. I want to look him over. This is going to cause more problems. All this screaming and crying for a detective who's died for no apparent reason is giving me a migraine. I need to get all these people out of my house one way or the other. But in the blurry mess of my vision, none of this registers enough to compel my body to move. Nothing does. Okay, can I... Yes. Can skip a little bit, anyway. Alright. Let's just clear this quick before we continue. In case there's any other new journal entries that pop up. Hana's body shudders and shakes as if she's about to have a seizure until her visage ripples and changes. Golden yellow hair is slowly stained with inky black. And her face melts into that of the woman, the maid from before, with a menacing expression on her face. Along with it is the shifting of the very ground we stand on. It's a slow thing, a whisper more than a bang as the darkness creeps into every corner of the room. The walls shudder and groan. Blood runs from the ceiling, crawls down the walls, and stains the floor. It feels as if life itself is being sucked from the house slowly but surely. The beauty of the place is gone, with only the dead, decaying remains of a mansion left in its wake. I don't have to wonder if it's just the foyer that's become this nightmarish place. I can already hear it. Gone are the growling of thunder and the lashings of rain and wind against the foyer's high windows. All of it has been replaced by a more grating sound. Can I not skip this?
What's going on?
I guess not. All throughout the house, shouts of alarm and surprise ring out, a mirror to the horror creeping up in each of us. Who wouldn't be shocked? This is insane. Even Daisy, feisty woman that she is, trembles at the sight of it. Brave of her, though, I have to admit, to not just run at the first sign of trouble. I'm not sure how she can even keep herself together, having witnessed the death of a friend. Or is he a lover? Not that she has any other choice in this. There seems to be no end in sight to this insanity. If anything, this only feels like it's the beginning of the end.
Help me! Oh my god! Please, somebody! Anybody! Who are you? Stay away! No. Stay away! Stay away!
No! She's here! You've got to let me out! She's gonna kill me! Someone! She's...
We would have been so beautiful. Mother of God, pray for us sinners. We're all in danger. I thought you were my friends. Why don't you believe me?
I'm sorry.
Their screams fill the mansion. She laughs all the while, a harsh, agonizing sound that goes on for what feels like forever. Alright, can I skip now? Nope. She's reaching out for me, calling me, beckoning me, pleading me. I'm terrified. I really am, like I should be. But I've never been one to truly stay afraid. I've long learned that fear will not get me anywhere. Cowering in a corner doesn't keep me safe, and it will not keep me alive. Not like rage does. I've learned to use this burning hate inside of me to survive. There is no difference now.
Stay away from me!
Why do you wish to leave? This is where you belong, my lord. Remember the blood you shed. The very same one that now taints this house, along with many others.
I did not do this, you lie! I did nothing!
What of her, then? Your wife, your sunshine. Doesn't her blood already stain these halls? Stain your hands?
She's lying!
Ugh. The word sounds so familiar. Just a few days ago, I've spouted the same ones of that vile woman who ruined everything. If it weren't for that munter, that harlot. But it's no use. A seed has already been planted in her head. Bloody hell, Daisy's now looking at me with the same revolting stares people have given me once they know of my dirt. Defending myself, especially against the likes of her, is pointless. Yet I still continue. I'm not even sure why. I can easily dispose of her now that she knows. Somehow proving this vile creature wrong seems to have heavier weight than the former.
So it's true then? With Hana? Hana, Luke?
I don't know what she's talking about. Are you that gullible, Daisy? Do you really believe the words of a murderer?
No, you deny it. Pointing fingers, aren't we? You see, my love. No difference. No difference, you and I. Just like the rest of us. Just like every single soul in this putrid wreck. We've waited for so long. You can hear them, yes? Their pleas, their calls, their invitation. Come, my lord. The house seeks its master.
She, the monster, reaches out again, her hands a gory, abhorrent sight, along with that smile spread across her face. My body's already moving on instinct. Stumbling back, one step at a time, in a desperate bid to be away from her. Anything to put distance between me and this vile creature. No matter what she says, I am nothing like her. I need to get out of this house. Out of this country, preferably. There's nothing for me here. Not anymore. Nothing to keep tied to this place. With Hana gone, Shroken likely taken by this woman as well, nothing's left to bind me to this wretched city. I can leave. I can... My foot steps on something, sending me sliding on my back and flat on the floor. Beside me, a paper, familiar one, flutters down. It's this thing again from the open house, though it feels less like a gimmick and more like a threat, what with recent events. It must have fallen from the detective in the commotion earlier. And with its owner having met a gruesome death, now it simply bears its equally grisly message for everyone in the room to see. Help me, help me, help me. Is this it? What they've been telling us? Why everything in my life has gone to shite? Because of some stupid old letter? An invitation indeed. One I am not willing to accept. Not any time. From the top of the stairs, the creature moves again, drawing my attention back to her. Her gait remains slow and awkward as she walks forward, that smile never leaving her. But I won't give her the chance. I am not dying here. I certainly am not giving myself to a hideous creature like her either. Adrenaline kicks in, and despite panicked gasps and worried glances from Daisy, I pay her no mind as I reach for the main door and... Without warning, it slams open, revealing not the mansion grounds like I am expecting. Before my mind can even comprehend what's happening, black tendrils have already coiled tightly around my limbs, dragging every person in the foyer into the room. None of us even get to scream when darkness completely envelops us upon the doors closing.
Understand where your place is now, my love. You belong here. Is it so difficult to grasp? We've been waiting.
Alright, moment of truth time. There's a moment of panic when the feeling of the tendrils around my limbs finally dissipates. As soon as my eyes adjust to the darkness of the room and I'm on my feet, I'm reaching for my knife and holding it out, watching, waiting for every movement. Using it as a way to put distance between me and this peasant. Who knows what Daisy can do to me, now that she knows what I've done. There's only 2 of us in this room. She can easily do anything and the world will not know. Of course, I can easily overpower her. She doesn't look like she can hold a fight on her own. Her temper is all she has. But what if she's in cahoots with the creature? Fuck. I cannot trust her not to turn on me. I cannot trust anyone. Not anymore. Not after this. Everything. Everything that I've built has fallen apart.
You! This is all your fault! If I'm dying to this bloody curse, I'm taking you down with me!
Luke, calm down. You're just making this worse.
You shut your mouth! If it weren't for you, for this letter, none of this would have happened! Hana would still be...
Suddenly, Daisy steps up and slaps the knife away from my hand.
Don't you dare, Luke! Don't you dare put that blame on me!
Without batting an eye, glaring at me as if she might just rip my head off in this instant. Said knife slides uselessly under the table out of my reach. I should have expected she's not the kind to submit even under threat. Right now, I appear smaller facing her anger.
Last I checked, I'm not the one whose hands have been stained with his wife's own blood!
The gall of her! Bloody peasant! My head's already aching just listening to this. Does she take me for someone with half a brain? I should have just stabbed her and made a run for it. It doesn't help that with each second we spend talking here, the crazier this whole place gets. Okay, we didn't really talk very long, but I guess that's fine. Alright. The voices have also become louder and somehow sounding more vicious. If the things in this room start floating, mark my words, I will fucking flip out. And she may not be thinking of it right now, but eventually, she'll turn on me. Such is the nature of humans. I can't let that happen. Fuck, I still have so much to do. Better find a way out of this place as soon as possible if I want to stay alive. And what else is the source of our problem but that sodding letter? Burning this doesn't seem sound, but who knows? We don't understand a shite about this place. Might as well try everything, yeah? Whatever works. If I also have to be the one to make that bloody decision, so be it. And it's an easy decision to make, especially with these cries growing louder. I'm getting tired of it, really. I simply have to act fast, think fast. And what else is the root cause of our problems but that letter? No need to make things more complicated. It started from there, why won't it end there? Before the situation can stretch on far too long for my taste, I take out Mum's lighter. The sight of it brings a puzzled expression in her face. But I have no need for her opinion. In the next moment, I'm already setting the letter on fire. Interesting, so the only time he sets the house on fire with one other person is when Bella's involved. Okay. And it doesn't take too long for the thing to catch fire. It's old, for heaven's sake. Though I make sure none of the ashes end up on anything flammable. It'll be an inferno inside the study, with all the books and documents stored here. Not that a big flame's anything to worry about in this case. In fact, in a matter of minutes, the damn thing has turned to ashes on the floor. With nothing left to burn through, the fire dies. Fades into thin air and a whiff of smoke, leaving only the awful scent of burnt paper in the room. But as the last of the paper turns into cinders... A sharp, agonized wail echoes from somewhere in the mansion before quickly dying out, taking with her the horrors she has brought upon the mansion. Slowly before our eyes, the mansion changes again. Blood fading from the walls, ceilings, and the floor, returning the place to its old beauty. Gone is the darkness, quickly replaced by the artificial lights in the room. Even the smell of blood and gore has completely disappeared from the room. Perhaps the only thing undesirable left is the dumbfounded look I'm being given. It must be nice to live such a mundane existence.
See? Wasn't that easy? For fuck's sake, you need to get your poor head checked! How did you make it this far in life with that kind of thinking? Well, you can thank me later for this. You may now show yourself off my property before I call the police on you.
I walk out of the study without a single glance back, more than eager to finally get fresh air. She can find her way out of this place, I'm sure. I better not catch her again here, though, or I will not be happy. I'm already being nice as it is. Okay. Might be able to... I'm gonna just save here real quick. We're free! Epilogue time. Let's find out. Okay, so he's gone. In the depths of sorrow. Undeterred by her loss, Rebecca Gales attempts to bounce back almost as soon as she can afford. Immediately returning to her teaching post at St. Goretti High School, believing her usual busy routine will keep the memories of the tragedy at bay. Putting on a mask, in spite of the worried glances and questions her parents often shoot her way. Yet even with her earnest efforts, images of the woman and the people she lost that day still worms its way into her mind. A quiet thing gradually eating away at her, and soon she is forced to take a break after an accidental outburst at a student. Although she tries to remain strong, she is also aware that things, a lot of things in her life, will never be the same again. Amidst her grief, Rebecca finds an unlikely friend in Luke Wright. Very unlikely. While he avoids the city like a plague nowadays after the loss of his company and Hana, he makes an effort to drop by from time to time. Mostly to visit his goddaughter, Kylie Suarez, though the man still won't admit it when asked. Despite starting off on the wrong foot, Rebecca considers his presence a blessing now, a familiar face after all the tragedy she has seen. The same thing seems to go for the former businessman. At times, when their circumstances allow it, the two can be seen taking Kylie out to the local park, watching over the child, or sometimes simply engaged in a mundane conversation. Enjoying each other's company and never talking about anything that hints of death, of their loss. Whether this will ever grow into something more, only time will tell. And there you go. Well, we will go and take a look at that. Let's... Alright. Let's go to gallery. Epilogue. 100% romance endings. Ooh-wee. I did it! Hey, 100% in something! I did it, everybody. I really did it. Huzzah for me. Okay, let us... Where is it? 25! It went up like 2 or 3%. Okay, so Rebecca's at 76. Not much changed. It'll be like a little update at the end, I think. Yeah. It's like a little story update there. Yeah, okay. So that's good. And then Ashton got up to 71. Look at him catching up. He was like way down before. There was so many updates on Ashton's chapter, so I'm very pleased about that. Cool, cool, cool. This place is just crazy town. It's crazy town with the branches, I tell ya. Okay, then we skipped a bunch of stuff, then went up and then skipped a bunch of stuff, came back down. Went up, went down, went all around. Okay. Went up and broke up some stuff there. Cool. And then Lukey boy. Alright. Kind of did some up down with him too. Oh, look at all these butterflies all cleared up. Nice. Went down a bit. Skipped some stuff. And then we skipped a ton of stuff. I still don't know what all of that nonsense is. Whatever it is. Nonsense. 25%. I guess this is the Becca alive. And you're alone in the library. Don't know what this is. Oh, mamma mia. Well, hey. We did it. We're a quarter of the way through Luke. Nearly 3/4 with Ash, 3/4 with Rebecca. We're slowly getting there, I do believe. But anyway. That's it. I can at least say I got 100% in something. I got all the romance endings, so huzzah. That seems very appropriate for me, that that's the first thing I 100% in the game. But I will take it. Anyway, guys, that's it for me. I hope you enjoyed Becca's solo run. Next time, it'll be Ashton's turn to stay alive. So hopefully I will see you there for that. Thanks again for joining me, and until next time, I will see you later.